What did Jungkook really want to say when he said that sentence? Why is it precisely on the first day of the new year, when everyone is hoping for a bright beginning, the words sound so heavy and full of emotions? I never meant it this way. A short statement, but enough to make armies around the world fall silent and wonder at each other. The moment happened without major warning. There was no official announcement, nor was a deliberately dramatic atmosphere built. It is precisely its simplicity that makes everything feel honest. Jungkook spoke in a quieter tone than usual, as if he was speaking not to the camera, but directly to Taehyung. His gaze wasn't entirely smiling. There was a brief pause before he continued his words, and that's where many fans started to feel something different. ARMY also began to retrace the moment piece by piece. Is this just an expression of reflection at the beginning of the year? Or is there a deeper story that has never been revealed to the public? That sentence sounds like regret, but it can also be read as honesty that finally dares to come out. Jungkook does not explain his intentions clearly, and it is precisely that vagueness that triggers confusion as well as curiosity. Taehyung's reaction did not escape the spotlight. He didn't immediately answer with long words, just a small smile that looked warm but full of meaning. There was a brief silence between them, a pause that felt much more conversational than any dialogue. Many soldiers felt the moment was too personal to be taken as a joke, but too vague to be called a confession. That on social media, there was speculation. Some believe Jungkook is referring to the difficult times they went through together. Others feel it is an expression of feelings that have been held back. Some of the ARMY even admitted to feeling emotional without really knowing the reason, as if the sentence touched something invisible but felt. The beginning of a new year that should have been filled with hope actually opened with a big question mark. Jungkook did not give any clarification. Taehyung chose silence, and ARMY was left to compose its own meaning. Perhaps that is what makes this moment so powerful, not because of what is said, but because of what is not explained. The question continues to hang, even after the moment has passed. More and more ARMY realized that Jungkook's expression at that time was not the expression of someone who was just joking or sharing light stories. There was sincerity mixed with caution, as if he were choosing a word while holding back something bigger from being fully revealed. It's precisely because of this that the phrase, "I never meant this," feels like a cut from a longer story, but is deliberately stopped halfway. Some fans began to recall Jungkook and Taehyung's past interactions. Small moments that once might have seemed ordinary now feel different when juxtaposed with a statement. A look that lasted too long, a laugh that suddenly stopped, or a silence that appeared between them. Everything was replayed again, as if the ARMY was looking for a hidden clue that had been missed. What makes the situation even more emotional is the timing of its occurrence. The first day of the new year is often synonymous with new intentions, honesty with yourself, and the courage to say things that were previously buried. Many wondered, did Jungkook choose that moment because he felt it was the right moment to tell the truth, even if only in part? Or is it precisely because the emotions at the beginning of the year make his feelings no longer able to hide? Taehyung himself remained calm, but his calmness gave rise to other speculations. The slight smile he gave looked like a form of understanding, not confusion. To some ARMY, the reaction felt like a silent reply saying it understood what Jungkook meant, even though the audience wasn't fully invited into the conversation. Increasingly, pieces of video and snippets of those words continued to be shared, analyzed, and talked about. Not a few soldiers admitted to feeling mixed up, confused, touched, and a little uneasy. A short sentence turns out to be able to shake the emotions of many people, as if opening up space for feelings that are unspoken but feel real. And it is precisely in emptiness that emotions are strengthened even more. The absence of an official explanation leaves everyone free to interpret, but at the same time, many ARMYs feel there is an invisible limit that cannot be crossed. As if the moment was not to be explained openly, but to be felt. Jungkook's lines kept ringing, not because they were harsh or dramatic, but because they were spoken with an almost fragile honesty. Some soldiers admitted that what touched them the most was not the words, but the way Jungkook paused before saying them. The pause was long, thoughtful, as if he were weighing whether to reveal his heart or keep it. And when the word finally came out, it felt like something had escaped accidentally. honest, yet not entirely ready to be explained. There are also those who feel confused precisely because the moment feels too real. There is no script, no usual joking tone attached to their interaction. Everything seems as it is. Taehyung, who chose not to respond with many words, Jungkook, who did not continue the discussion, and the atmosphere that slowly returned to normal. But it was never really the same. The days passed, but the talk about that moment did not subside. Every time the beginning of the year is mentioned, the phrase reappears on the timeline, accompanied by the same feeling as when you first heard it. Confused, touched, and a little claustrophobic. Many realize that sometimes the deepest relationships don't need a long explanation to feel strong. Maybe the army will never know what the real meaning behind "I never meant this" is. Not all feelings need to be translated into words. And perhaps at the start of that new year, Jungkook just wanted to be honest about one thing, that there was a feeling that grew beyond the plan, beyond the original intention, and beyond the ability to explain it to anyone. A brief honesty that leaves confusion, but also a warmth that is difficult to forget.